So picture this. It's September 1607. A ship is quietly slipping out of a harbor in the north of Ireland. On board, the country's most powerful Gaelic lords, heading into exile. We all know this story, right? The flight of the Earls. It's always painted as this final tragic end to the old Gaelic world. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the most incredible part of this story isn't about those who left, but about the ones they were forced to leave behind?
Our investigation starts with a massive clue, hidden in plain sight. It comes from Tag O Cianan, the guy who was literally on the boat, writing everything down as it happened. And in his chronicle, he drops this bombshell of a line. He tells us, straight up, that this wasn't some clean getaway. People were deliberately left behind. This isn't a modern theory, you guys. It's a fact recorded at the scene of the crime.
And just like that, that one little sentence opens up a 400-year-old cold case. I mean, think about it. If the children of Ireland's most wanted men didn't get on the boat, where on earth did they go? How did they just disappear? That's the part the history books tend to skip over. So today, we're going to follow the breadcrumbs and see if we can finally crack this thing.
To solve this, we're going to tackle it like a real investigation. We'll look at forgotten documents, top secret government files, and then we're going to bring in a stunning piece of modern science that changes everything.
Okay, first things first, the paper trail. We're diving into the archives, looking at everything from personal diaries to the secret intelligence files of the English government. We're searching for any mention, any whisper of these missing families. So let's go back to our eyewitness. The most important thing here is that the guy writing the official story of the flight confirms it himself. Leaving people behind wasn't an accident. It was a choice. And he even gives us the reasons: youth and danger. He's telling us that the most vulnerable, the kids, were deliberately kept off that ship because the journey itself was just too perilous. And get this, it wasn't just their allies who knew. Their biggest enemies, the English government, were all over it. We found their secret intelligence reports tucked away in the state papers, and they specifically mention O'Neill's sons left behind. And we have proof positive it happened. Hugh O'Neill's own son, Con, was actually captured in Ireland after being hidden. So this wasn't just a rumor, it was a real active strategy. And when you lay it all out like this, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. Look at this. On one side, you've got the Earls and their main crew. But on the other side, the ones who stayed, Hugh O'Neill's wife, Catherine McGuinness, didn't go. Rory O'Donnell's little boys stayed behind for a while. You can see the logic, right? The high-status women, and crucially, the children, were being sheltered in Ireland, not risked on the high seas. Okay, so we've established that they stayed. The next obvious question is, where? I mean, these are the children of the most wanted fugitives in the kingdom. You can't just check them into a local inn. They would have needed a sophisticated, secret, and totally trustworthy network to just vanish into. So let's just think about the motive for a second. Why go to all this trouble? Well, the accounts from the voyage itself paint a terrifying picture. The ship was crammed, way over capacity, and it got hammered by storms. One priest who was on board wrote that they were literally on the verge of sinking. Now be honest, would you put your baby on that ship? No way! It was a death trap. There had to be a plan B. And this wasn't just about saving a child's life. This was about saving an entire dynasty. This was a classic medieval strategy. You know the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket? Well, this is the 17th century high-stakes version of that. By splitting the family, some go to Europe to rally support, others stay hidden in Ireland to carry on the name, you're hedging your bets. You're making sure the lineage survives, no matter what. So where was this network? Well, funny enough, our next big clue comes from the English state papers. Again, they're complaining that fugitive nobles are being harbored in Munster and the Pale. They're basically drawing us a map of an underground railroad. It shows us the escape routes didn't just point to Europe. They also pointed south, deep into Ireland itself. All right, let's trace these routes. The first leg of the journey out of Ulster was through the Pale, that region right around Dublin. And here, powerful Catholic families like the Plunketts and the Eustaces were known sympathizers. In fact, English intelligence files specifically name this area as a place where sons and kinsmen of O'Neill were being hidden. From there, the trail leads southeast, into the territory of families like the Powers and the Butlers. Now, this area was the most powerful Catholic stronghold in the entire country. It was remote, it was well-defended, and it was full of allies. If you needed to make someone disappear, this was the perfect place to do it.
And the network didn't even stop there. It stretched all the way into Munster, where other powerful families like the McCarthys and O'Briens, and even secret monastic orders provided that final layer of safety. So you see, this wasn't just a handful of friendly farmhouses. It was a massive, organized, protective crescent that spanned the entire southern half of Ireland. And for centuries, this is where the trail went cold. The documents gave us a motive, and they gave us a map of the network. But the final, definitive proof? It was missing. Until now. Because our next clue, well, it isn't found in a dusty archive. It's found inside us.
So here it is, the big question. Can 21st century technology actually find the genetic ghosts of these lost children? The historical case is strong, it's compelling, but genetic genealogy? That could give us the smoking gun. Now, don't worry, we're not going to get bogged down in the science. There's really only one term you need to know: haplogroup. The easiest way to think about it is like a genetic signature for a specific clan or ancient family. It's passed down, almost unchanged, from father to son through generations, like a genetic coat of arms. And the Royal O'Neills have a very famous one. Okay, now hold on. Remember that southeast cluster we were just talking about? That Catholic stronghold in Waterford, Kilkenny, and Tipperary? The very heart of that safe house network we just mapped out? Well, genetic genealogists started noticing something really, really weird right there.
Bam! A significant and totally unexpected cluster of men carrying that specific O'Neill genetic signature. Now, these men didn't have the last name O'Neill. They had local Southern names. But their Y DNA told a completely different story, a story that pointed directly back to Ulster 400 years ago. This is it. This is the moment where the historical theory and hard science collide.
Okay, we have all the pieces now. We have the eyewitness accounts, the logic of survival, the secret network mapped out by government spies, and now we have the DNA. So let's put it all together. Let's reconstruct what almost certainly happened. Our story starts with that impossible choice on the docks. A child, maybe an infant son, is handed over not to a sea captain, but to a trusted kinsman. And instead of sailing west into a life of exile, his journey goes south, on secret paths, deeper and deeper into the safety of that protective network. Now, to survive, the name O'Neill had to go. It was a death sentence. So the child would have been fostered by a loyal local family, given a new identity. His name would have been changed to something that sounded a bit similar, maybe like Neil or Nihal, something that would blend in, that wouldn't attract the attention of the authorities. The royal bloodline was now hiding in plain sight. And for the next 400 years, they just stayed. They became part of the local fabric. They were farmers, craftsmen, locals. They married their neighbors, and their children did the same. And by staying put in that same small, safe region, they unknowingly created a perfect genetic time capsule, preserving that ancient northern DNA right up until the day science was powerful enough to find it. And that brings us to this one final kind of mind-blowing thought. The flight of the Earls has always been taught as a story of ending and loss. But all of this evidence suggests it's also an incredible story of survival, of a secret so well kept it lasted for centuries. It just makes you wonder, how many other hidden histories are out there, waiting to be found, not in the dusty pages of a book, but locked away in the very code of our own DNA?